Blackbird Studios in sunny North Cambridge. It's the RaveX 10-minute podcast. And now, RaveX.
Hey kids, guess who's back? Your boy Rave. That's right. This is the first podcast for season 2. That's right. I think we're going to split it up and do it like seasons, just like your favorite shows, The Walking Dead, all that other shit. This is season 2, and much like season 1, it's not going to be as good. So, wow, man, summer's over. It's Labor Day. I better not catch any of you people wearing white after today. Recording this live from the Blackbird Studios in sunny North Cambridge, and it's kind of sunny. It's a calm day. It's actually quiet today in my apartment. I don't hear like lions and tigers fighting outside my door like I usually do. So I figured get my lazy ass up and record a podcast for the dozens and dozens of RaveX fans. So, man, let's just have a little summer recap here. I hope everyone had a good summer. This summer sucked. I will say that. I will go on record as saying this summer sucked balls. I don't know why it sucked. It just never really took off. I mean, all the cool things were there that needed to be there. Parties. I went to a shit ton of parties. That was fun. Played a lot of music with my buddy, R&R. It's a project you're going to hear coming out soon. You know, there were girls. There was music. There was parties. Your boy Rave got drunk more than once or twice, but that's to be expected. There was never really any big marker to this summer, right? Like usually summers before, you would have like a big movie would come out, like Star Wars came out this summer, or like a Batman. Remember summer of '89 for you younger kids? You maybe don't remember this, but in 1989 when the Michael Keaton Batman movie came out, that movie was the whole fucking summer, right? Like everywhere you went, Batman T-shirts and the picture of Nicholson as the Joker. And every time I think about that summer, I think about that fucking, you know, Batman was everywhere. This summer didn't really have anything. It was a lot of, like, little things, but it was just kind of a boring summer. I mean, as far as movies goes, I think Civil War came out. I think that was, like, May. That was all right, whatever. It is what it is. We had Suicide Squad this summer, and that was these movies are a hot mess. You know what I mean? I feel like Batman v Superman came out, but it wasn't this summer. That was, like, March or April. That movie was a hot mess. So we don't really even get any really good movies anymore, right? And maybe it's because your boy Rave's getting old. But, you know, we started a podcast this summer. Other than that, just kind of, what are you going to do? So we got a Spider-Man movie coming out. They were just talking about that the other day. I want to talk about that and a few things, you know, some controversial things that they were talking about with the Spider-Man movie, which is, I guess, Mary Jane Watson, who used to be a white girl with red hair, is now a black girl. So some people were kind of upset about that, but also the way things are now with race, you can't really be upset about that or else everyone calls you a racist. And I just want to touch on this for a little bit, man, because I think, why not? Let's talk about it. So this has been going on for a while now, right? You have a character who's a Caucasian character, and then something happens, and they think that there's not enough diversity. So they take that character, and they turn him into an African-American character. Now, here's the thing. Do I hate this? It is what it is, but it's definitely racism. Now, let me say this. Racism isn't just a negative thing. Racism is any decision or action that's made based on someone's race. And right now, you're probably going, oh, Rave, here we go again. Well, here's the thing, man. There's nothing wrong with voicing your opinion, and I have an opinion on this. Just wanted to touch on some of the characters who used to be white who are now black. And again, it actually works. Now, we're going to get into all of this. I don't know exactly why it works, but when you have a character and they turn him into an African-American character, maybe they just bring a little bit more gravitas to the role. I don't know why. I'm still a little confused about this, but it usually works. Yeah, so Mary Jane used to be a white girl in the Spider-Man comics. Now she's a black girl, played by a actress model named, I'm going to fuck up her name, Zentada. I'm not really sure. You guys can correct me in the comment sections below. Ben Affleck Daredevil movie, they had Michael Clark Duncan took over as Kingpin, who was notoriously a big, huge white guy. They made him a black guy in the Daredevil movie. And you know what? It worked. It was the best part of that movie. Man of Steel with Henry Cavill. Superman movie came out. One of my favorite movies. I don't know why people hate this movie, except for one scene with his dad in the tornado. This was a great movie. If you don't like it, whatever. You're entitled to your opinion, but you're wrong. Yeah, so Perry White, notoriously a white guy. He was a white guy in the 50s. He was a white guy in the Brandon Routh Superman Returns movie, the Chris Reeves movie, white guy. We get Man of Steel. All of a sudden, it's Lawrence Fishburne from The Matrix. Did a great job. It worked. Nick Fury in the Avengers movies and in the comic books, if you read the Marvel comic books, they kind of said it was like the ultimate universe. But originally that role was played by David Hasselhoff, notoriously bad. And then Marvel kind of changed some things around, and Nick Fury is now Samuel L. Jackson. Say what again, motherfucker? I double dare you. But it worked because Sam Jackson brings just a little bit of punch to that role. In DC Comics, you have Kid Flash, used to be a white guy with red hair. Now, if you read the comic books, he's actually back, has the same white guy with red hair. But they actually switched him around, and he became an African-American guy because of some different nerdy time things in Flashpoint, if you read that. And actually, if you watch the Flash TV show, he's played by a guy named Kenyon something, and he does a good job. It's fine. It works out. Jimmy Olsen, if you watch the Supergirl TV show, which actually, it's not bad. I'll watch anything with the fucking superhero costume in it. That's what I like. You put a pretty young lady in a Supergirl costume, I'll fucking watch that. Take my money. It's cool. I don't care. But yeah, Jimmy Olsen, nerdy, geeky, awkward white guy, is now the sort of buff slab of black chocolate played by an actor. I don't know his name. Does a good job. Also, there are also versions in the comic books where they did a black Superman, but he was like the Earth 7 Superman, was African-American. I believe he was the president, too. Like if Obama was Superman, that's what they did. And he's got the Superman suit on and everything. There are also different versions of a character representing Batman who was from Africa, and he was a black guy as well. So this is definitely a thing that happens where they take characters, they used to be white, and they switch them over, and now they're African-American. The only real problem I have with it is that when you watch these shows where they review sort of pop culture and comic book stuff, no one seems to have a negative opinion about it, and that's because if you say anything, the world we live in now, correct me if I'm wrong, the world we live in now, if you say anything like, that character was better when they were white, oh man, you're just going to get all types of fucking hate mail. And I was thinking about when the first time they did this was, there was also Catwoman was also switched to Halle Berry, it was a script that was actually meant for Michelle Pfeiffer. She got a little older, time went on, and they just recast that role with Halle Berry. Horrible fucking movie. I think it won like 8 Razzie Awards. I watched it one time for shits and giggles, stoned out of my mind. And halfway through the movie, I realized I wasn't stoned anymore. I mean, this movie made my dick so soft. It's just so horrible. But I was thinking about, the first time that they ever took a white character and made them black. And I'm going to give you guys a second to think about it. All right, that's long enough. I don't got all day. Eartha Kitt, back in the old Batman 66. Yeah, they brought Eartha Kitt on, who's she did some movie roles. Mostly she was a dancer. She sang, jazz stuff. Did some theater. Died a few years back, but Eartha Kitt was definitely an amazing, amazing woman. Super positive African-American female. Very successful back in a time when African-American women, you really didn't see them on TV. You saw like Mamie, like, oh, Lordy, Lordy, please, Master, please. That was the role that African-American women got. And the only other positive black woman I can think of was Uhura on Star Trek. And a lot of people always say, she had the first interracial kiss. Well, if you get into it, they edit it in a certain way. They didn't actually kiss, but it's gone down in sort of folklore and pop culture history. Has Uhura and William Shatner had the first interracial kiss. Actually not true. It's just kind of edited in a way that it looks like they were kissing, but whatever. Yeah, so we get Eartha Kitt, played a super awesome Catwoman, one of my favorites till this day, in a role originally meant for a Caucasian. What are you, drunk, Rave? Come on, man. You're doing a podcast here. Stop drinking booze in that role. So, The problems that I have with this is it's always a white character that gets swapped over to a black character. Except for one other exception, a couple of other exceptions, but they're minor, where that character is now Asian, and that was the Atom in the DC comic books if you read it. But again, if you watch the Legends of Tomorrow TV show, that character's a Caucasian guy. A couple of Green Lantern members swapped over a little bit. I think they have a Green Lantern member now who's actually Muslim, but that's just kind of par for the course, right? You got to put a positive Muslim character in here. I can't remember his name, but I've read some of the comic books with him in it, and it seems fine. Once you put a mask on these people, it really doesn't matter too much. But you have to kind of ask the question, does race matter when it comes to a character? A fictional character, does race matter? Well, Zorro, traditionally a Mexican character, came about in the maybe the 20s. I don't even know. Maybe it was earlier than that, a little bit later than that. Zorro means the fox. Zorro was like Batman, even though that Batman kind of comes from that character. He had money. He had his black cape, and he had his mask and all that stuff. And, you get a little bit of Batman from that. So it was definitely pre-1940s and stuff. But if they did a Batman movie today and they said, Zorro is a blonde-haired white guy from Glendale, California. Does that take away from the character? If you said we're going to do a movie about, let's see here, Black Lightning. There's supposed to be a TV show coming out of one of my favorite characters from back in the day called Black Lightning. Now, if they say, well, we're going to swap this around, and now he's called White Lightning, and he's a white guy from Brookline, Massachusetts, does that mess with the character? I think it does in certain situations. Like, you definitely couldn't have White Panther, right? Because you got the Black Panther who was in the Captain America Civil War. I can't remember the guy's name. I'm sorry. He did a great job, and that was the character. He comes from Africa, from a technologically advanced part of Africa. But a lot of this stuff kind of seems like forced diversity, and I am not a fan of forced diversity. I think that make a character that's a minority and make that character super positive, right? And then just have that character. We don't want one of your white characters and you're going to, not put him in blackface. That just popped into my head. It's not exactly putting the character in blackface. They're not doing that. But you're giving us one of your characters, like, give the Negroes Kid Flash. Kid Flash is black now. Make a black positive character, like Falcon from Captain America in the movies. What's the actor's name? I am not prepared today, guys. I'm losing a little bit off my fastball. I'm sorry. I'm getting old. It's early. Anthony Mackie. That was the guy's name. Anthony Mackie does a great job as the Falcon. And the Falcon was always African-American. That was his thing. Kind of came from the 70s, around the same time that Black Lightning came out. Awesome character. I always liked the Falcon when I saw him as a kid. The action figure, I always wanted to get the Falcon action figure. Yeah, because it was nice. It was cool. He had the wings. He had his bird. I don't know what the bird was named. Ghetto bird? Red bird? Something like that. Blackbird? I don't know. So I think that what they should do with these superhero movies and these comic books is just make a whole new character, because it's so obvious. And a lot of times it's done by Caucasian people. They say, well, this character's black now. We're going to do a black version of Batman. His name's Batwing, and he fights AIDS in Africa. We're going to do a black version of, even Green Lantern back in the 70s. He was always just a white guy. We got a black Green Lantern, John Stewart. It works. It's fine. Make more positive black characters. Don't just, say, well, this person, Captain America's not Captain America anymore. He's the Falcon now, and that's why we're going to do that. But I remember a time when we didn't get a new superhero TV show or movie every year or every couple of months. So I'm always just happy when these shows just come out. Casting isn't that big of a deal to me, although if you look at the first Iron Man movie, Terrence Howard, is that his name? Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. Call me all the bad names you want. But then, they had to recast him with Don Cheadle. And the thing is, when they cast a white guy like Batman, all the Batmans have kind of looked the same. Maybe Christian Bale and Michael Keaton didn't look like your sort of archetype for Batman, but once they put the mask on, they still kind of look like Batman. When they had to recast the role as Tony Stark's Buddy Rhodes, they just threw any old black dude in there. It's like any old black guy will do, because Terrence Howard and Don Cheadle look nothing alike. They're like 5 shades separated. And to be honest, that one kind of bothered me, because you have a super light-skinned guy, you replace him with a dark-skinned guy, and it's just like, that's the same character. Don't fucking worry about it. I don't think they would have done that with a Caucasian actor. But like we talked about at the beginning of the show, the pretty redhead girl next door in the Spider-Man movies, Mary Jane Watson, is now a very pretty, light-skinned African-American actress. Some people got upset about that, like I talked about earlier. I would just say this. Give that person a chance. I don't think it's racism. I think that people get really attached to these characters, you know? You're used to seeing a character a certain way. You grew up with that character. Now they're different. We get all upset. People get upset about when they change the costume of a superhero. He didn't have the yellow belt like he's supposed to have. He's supposed to have a red belt, blah, blah, blah. It's fine. Everyone calm down. Although, I would like to see more original characters just made. I already said that. You know what I mean? Well, some people are going to agree with me. Some people are going to disagree. That's why we have a comment section down below. I'd love to hear your opinion on all of this. You hear that, kids? Oh, man, like last week and the week before, it's the fucking sun coming up. Over the Blackbird Studios in sweet North Cambridge. My name's RaveX. This was the RaveX 10-Minute Podcast. Yeah, man. Season 2 kicking it off with a bang. Do me a favor. Remember this. If you ever find yourself in a hole, the first thing you should do is stop digging. My name's RaveX, and I'm out of here.
That was the RaveX 10-Minute Podcast. Be sure to click like and subscribe. For new music and all things RaveX, go to youtube.com and search RaveX Music.